So I've talked way too much, and now we're going to let Andrew speak. Andrew is an interesting person. Andrew's a great guy. I met him 6 months ago, maybe?
Longer than that. It was January last year.
Oh wow, over a year. All time it was.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of conversations about the community and what's going on, and he's really come up with, I think, a really cool idea for the community and for other things as well. And I think he's going to give us a little demo of one of his products, which I'm really excited about. And one thing I learned at A Million Cups in Kansas City is at the end of the talk, they always ask the person speaking what the community can do. So kind of ask that question at the end if you remember, and we'll see what we can do for you.
I started meeting Jamie inside coffee shops and at public libraries and things like that, and that's actually where I've met most of you. You have to have a mentality that's not dependent on others. This one's harder. There's a lot of people in this town that are very hopelessly dependent on other people and what they think. Mainly at the mayor level and at the city level. They think that if they can't pitch their idea to those people and they think it's not a good idea, then maybe they should just quit. Not true. If it's a good idea, if it makes money, even if they hate you at first, they'll come on board because if it benefits them, it'll benefit you. And then this is just my quirky one. A wild, shape-shifting level of detail that ranges from entirely too much to none at all. What are you going to do? So, this is an examination of the job application process, a process that has very wildly changed in really the past 30 years since the invention of the internet, and the fact that we've gone from a very local market to national and global in just a couple of years. The problem being that we're still doing the job application process the same exact way it was when it was just a state or local position. So right now, these are all the methods you can do to obtain a job. There's many more, but if you look at the list, shoot, dim the lights.
I think you have a 1 or a 0.
I can see it pretty good back here.
That good?
Yeah, that works too. Okay, so as you look at all these, you'll notice a trend, and that's no matter what it is, whether it's a newspaper, Craigslist, it's networking nights, it's LinkedIn, getting a job is secondary. That site's primary purpose, or that thing's primary purpose, is not to serve your needs to get a job. Posting a job, you've gone from simple help wanted signs to evolving a little bit more to now the newspaper, and there's going to be a bulletin board at various places in town, to now all of a sudden we've got job fairs and networking nights, and now all of a sudden we have organization websites and we have job boards online where you can go post a job. Here's where the problem lies. The evolution of applying for a job. We've gone from family hires to friend of a friend, friend of a family, to job reference, to all of a sudden, now we need all those things plus a resume, to plus a cover letter, to now plus a CV. We have made the application process for applying for a job ridiculous. Now taking between 1 and 5 weeks just to apply for one job. Market, we've gone, once again, from small city or town to small radius, to statewide, to nationwide, to global. And we've made that leap very quickly, and the rest of the market has not caught up to the fact that competition is very, very fierce. It's no longer you're competing with someone in town, you're competing with a global market. These are all from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, and it shows, unfortunately you can't read most of that, but it's a poll taken from roughly an average of 2.2 million people in 94 to 2.5 million people in 2010. And they split it up into categories of how long it takes to obtain a job. So they have less than 5 weeks, 5 to 14 weeks, 15 to 26 weeks, 27 to 52, and 52 weeks and over. The stat that stands out, the category of 27 to 52 weeks has nearly doubled since 94, and 53 weeks and over has nearly tripled since 94. And the hard numbers on that, since you can't see, is it's gone from 8.3% of that 2.2 million for the 27 to 52 weeks category in 94 to 15.3% of 2.5 million. For 53 weeks and over, it's gone from 4% of that 2.2 million to 11% of 2010. Average duration of unemployment has also gone way up. Roughly now 32 weeks after you lose your job until you can get another one. Average time to tailor a CV to a job, this is from talking to various HR professors and friends. About 1 to 5 weeks, depending on complexity, but even in getting your starting out after school job, it's not a simple process anymore. It takes a lot of time, and unfortunately, for people in high school and college, it's hard to get experience. It's very hard to get experience. You have to have someone take a chance on you, you have to get lucky with a volunteer. The cold truth, 6 to 10 seconds. That's how long your application has before someone decides it's not good enough, and they decide to move you on to the next level of the application process. So you're spending 5 weeks for 6 to 10 seconds. The next levels, which also have gone greatly, we've gone from phone interviews to in-person interviews to group interviews, and a combination of all of them multiple times over. Average time to hire, 28 to 58 days on average, and that's from the Society of Human Resource Management, which is where the Bureau of Labor gets most of their statistics from. In some cases, there's debate whether or not those 28 to 45 days are business days or days in general. And this, of course, does not include the time it takes from when you decide you need a person to going through the write-ups, to posting, to finally that place where you're going about interviewing people, you're reviewing applications. Problem with the hiring process, you're not looking at how a person works until you get so far into the level of interviewing a person and examining them that you really are wasting time, not only from your perspective of applying, but from the employer's perspective of looking at you. Most of the time you don't find out the level of independence or dependence you have on that, in that position until you get all the way through the interview process and they say, well, you're going to be fully independent, or you're going to be entirely dependent on what this person tells you to do. Automatic deal breakers, they're not told until you get most of the way to the application process. So we're spending time looking at jobs that don't post their pay, that don't post benefits, and those are ugly things to find out last second. That all of a sudden, a job that you would have never spent any time applying for, you find that out after you spend so much time applying for it and going through the entire process. This one just happened to me with a job or a company in town here before I started up my own business. Experts in the field of the job are not involved in the hiring process. So with my job in IT, I applied for a programming position to a business here in town. One of the questions they asked me is if I've ever worked with a database before. I said yes. Then the follow-up question was, have you ever worked with SQL before? To which I said, okay, I think we're done here. But I said it in a much more polite way. Because SQL is the database language, and this person obviously had no idea that that was the case. And then the hiring process is usually performed by someone you're not directly working with, so you can be immediately turned off by someone that's doing an interview with you, even though you may never see that person ever again. Problem with social media and professional networks? Well, one, I just logged myself back into LinkedIn, and that place is a total mess. They keep adding content to it, making it more like Facebook and Twitter and all these other things, when at first it was a very simple professional site where all you do is you go in and you post your professional achievements and other people can look at that, and that's how it was. Now you can tweet and Facebook comment and everything else on it. But regarding jobs, it's a social site first. It's not anything else. The likelihood of you finding a job off a social site is very low. If anything, you're going to lose a job by being on a social site because they're going to find a picture of you being drunk or stupid or they're going to see something that you posted that was controversial and you didn't hide it from everyone's view. And also, more than in the past, lack of credibility and trust with people that you're friends with. If you saw I was friends with Bill Gates on LinkedIn, you would say, oh, he's friends with Bill Gates, he must know something. It's probably Bill Gates accidentally clicked it, or I friended a guy that was named Bill Gates in Mexico or something like that. Problem with job boards is they have mistakes such as improper categorization, which will lead you never to ever find a job even though you would be interested in it normally and you're qualified. There's a lot of hard ways to classify a job, and for most of the part, when you're searching on a job board, they give you state, city, and an industry or categorization. If you get that categorization wrong, you're probably not going to go through and check every category to see if that one job is there for you. And that's part of the problem. You only get one swipe of the data. You can't really do any quick checks though, going all the way back to start and saying, okay, here's my city again, here's my categorization, here's my job title I want to look at. From an employer perspective, the lack of communication, it's a killer because you have no idea how many people you're reaching. There's no counter to say how many people are looking at this and even if that counter were existing, you have no idea their level of interest in it unless you did some analytics like how long they spent at that page or something like that. Job sites, ads are everywhere. They're too expensive, with Career Builder, Monster, and the Ladders.com charging anywhere between $150 to $165 a job post. To even locally in town with Post Bulletin charging $50 a job post. They're filled with outdated data all the time, remote jobs, pyramid scheme jobs, middlemen, headhunters, and all the stuff that just deteriorates all of the good data that's on job boards. So I came up with a product and I called it the Job Circus. Circus being an acronym for Candid, Interactive, Revamped, Upbeat Career Upbeat Search. It's a pre-job application site to determine if you and the organization are a good fit before any of the application process actually starts. You can see all the deal breaker questions right away, such as what the minimum salary is, the minimum educational requirements, if it offers benefits, if so, what kind. And you can do it all by controlling your own data and then the employer is controlling their own data about the job. Plus, you get to see who's interested in their level of interest in the job or in you. Another big point is it keeps the job applications themselves where they should be, and that's with the employers. Sites like Career Builder and Monster.com and the Ladders, they have their own system where you apply through them and then turn HR people have to create a system that will turn whatever data is turned into Career Builder and Monster and churn it back to so it'll vibe with their system. Very messy process that I learned from a person in town named Josh Schneider who works at Smart HR, and he kind of walked me through that whole process of what they have to do. Unlike all those other job boards out there, I am complete anti-spam, anti-middleman, anti-remote job, anti-pyramid scheme, and I ban for life if I catch you doing that, and I fine you on top of it. I have 10 different reports to see anything that I might think is suspicious, whether it's changing cities all the time or it's changing job titles all the time. Constantly posting or liking stuff. Just a whole bunch of very sneaky tactics on my part to see if the data is actually good and make sure that integrity is there the entire time. You get more than one swipe at any of the data that's on the screen, and you can do custom reporting that looks at any of the fields that must be filled out. And the way that you can kind of show your level of interest in an employer, or an employer can show level of interest in you, is clicking a button called Expressing Interest. And depending on what your level of expressed interest is, it determines how much information of that job or that profile you get to see.
So you press the button harder to express more?
No, what you do is, it's a total workflow process. So say a person posts a job and then you're interested, you say, I express interest. You can look at shots to that person in charge of that job, and they can look over your profile real quick and say, will I allow this person to see more about my job, or will I just say no and I'll ignore them? It's available over the web or mobile due to responsive web design, so as you shrink that window down, it adjusts to whatever screen size you have. And it requires payment from candidates and employers, so again, keeps the data very, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, keeps the data very up to date, and it keeps it good data because everyone's paying for it. And it's cheaper than any option available. $3 a month for any candidate, or $25 for the year, or $10 a job post for 90 days, or $1,000 for the year with unlimited job posts. So this is how it works. Person goes in and they get a big form. It has your basic level, it has advanced level items, then it has VIP level items. The advanced and the VIP level items, though, are not seen until you go through that express interest workflow. So the basic, that would just be your general demographic information, short-term goal, long-term goal, general description about yourself. Advanced, that would be time to be available to work, general job preferences, and whether or not you can work weekends, if you want to have a pager or not, or you definitely don't want to have a pager or work weekends, that kind of stuff. And the VIP, that gets into the salary range you're looking at, the benefits, if they're very important to you, if they're not important to you, and then your contact information, including your last name.
But this could be somebody who may not be actively looking for a job, just put their general resume up there, put it out.
Yeah, and you can select on there what your current employment status is and what you're currently looking for. So you could be looking for just a part-time job even though you have full-time right now, and you can specify how many hours that you'd like to work for that week. And based on that criteria, you can match up between what the job is being posted and what the profile has. So that way, in the best match search that I have, it'll tell you right away that this is your best match with what you said.
Are those the two basic questions that Facebook set out to ask when they first started? What's your status and what are you looking for?
Yeah, but that derailed pretty quickly. I think it was that the option of whatever I can get may have stopped it. It works very similar with a person that is posting a job. First, they just fill out a general organization form, like demographic information, and then that way they can select their organization and say, I want to add a job to this organization. Same basic principles. You're matching on over 10 different fields that are the exact same question between the profile and the job being posted, so that's why I can do a best match and get pretty good results. So, this is just kind of visually represented. You have your profile, you have your job post. At first, you just have basic information under each column. Profile says, you know what, I'm interested in this job. I'd like to see what the other information is, the advanced level. Job post says, yep, okay, you can see my more information. And now some profile can see advanced information for that one job. Profile is still interested and says, you know what, I really am still interested in this job. I'd like to see the final piece of the puzzle. So then express interest one more time, and then all of a sudden, profile can look at all the information about that one job and then make a better decision on if they should actually go out and apply for that job because they know much more about it than your standard job post would give you. From the employer standpoint, they also know that profile is very interested in the job, so they can keep them in mind for future jobs, or future similar jobs.
Why did the applicant or potential applicant have to reveal more information back to the employer at that point?
Because it's a one-way street. So to prevent against people that are crazy that just go out and express interest in everything.
Yeah.
So as you notice, profile can do everything but the job post can't do anything about the profile. So in order for the job post to see more about the profile, they'd have to go through it but backwards and say, I express interest in you. Will you let me see more about your profile?
But if they expressed interest the first time, why would they need to confirm interest? Because they don't have any new information.
I'm sorry.
So if you click back a few,
Yeah.
so the job posting they're confirming interest. I mean, I kind of like this tiered thing, right? That it's somewhat automated. But anyway, so this guy expresses interest, then the employer, potential employer, confirms their interest.
Mm-hmm. And that's just so that
But
you don't know. Sorry.
right. So then, but then if you click 2 more times. So now they have the employer doesn't have any new information, right?
No, because the employer would have to express interest in that profile and the profile would have to agree to get more information from the profile.
Right, but I mean, do they actively have to confirm their interest twice without receiving any new information?
They can. This is an unusual use case. Ideally, it would work where they go back and forth and say, okay, well, I'm interested in you, you're interested in me. But it can just be a one-way street. Sometimes you're very interested in a job, but the job has no interest in you, or someone comes pitching a job to you and they're really excited about you and they want to learn everything about you, but you don't have any interest in them.
So at what point does the applicant reveal their stuff? Never?
They can reveal whenever they want to whoever they want.
Okay.
Because just as
This is my minimum salary requirement, my deal breaker is yada yada.
Yeah.
Can the job applicant have exclusions for companies it does not want to have on board?
Well, you're only seeing the first name for your own profile. You don't get to your last name and your email contact until you get to the VIP level.
But you have your company employment information probably.
So can you exclude
And so
companies,
can you
say, I'm never
exclude-
gonna work for that company?
Or-
So you just would never confirm with that company. You might get requests, but you just ignore it. It's just like on Facebook. When someone sends you a friend request, you just don't confirm it.
It's because you're needy.
So this approval process, it gives an indication of how interested the two are in with one another. So even though you're really excited about the job, maybe that person on that job just does not see an interest in you, but else. So now you can focus your time on something you have a better chance at getting the job with. So therefore, you're not wasting your time pursuing a job that has no interest in you. So there will be a Job Circus instance for BioAM very soon. I'm just working on the subscription part of it right now. And what I will do is I will just offer it free for the summer and get anyone who wants to in town to join up, and we'll give it a go that way. The city of Rochester, they're interested in having it at the city level, so they're very curious to see how it works at the BioAM level to see if they're going to buy into it. But at the city level for sure, they're very interested in the version of this, but just for internships and volunteering. And that's because all the high schools in town just passed something I believe goes into effect in 2016, where all the students are required to have internship and volunteering a certain amount of hours. So they really need companies to go someplace and say, we'll take on volunteers and internships. And for students to go to someplace too and say, yep, I really need to get one of those. So. As I said, responsive web design, so as you shrink it down, automatically it does. So, what a person would do they would enter in all their information right away. So first, last, middle, middle is really optional. City, state, country, zip code, highest educational level, degree, major, most recent job, years of work experience, current employment status, what they're looking for, your fields of interest, the reason you have those fields of interest, and then you can put your additional stuff on here if you so desire, such as your LinkedIn, your Twitter, your personal, your Facebook, short and long-term goals, your industry experience, and then your industry preference. And then that would be everything that an employer could see without going through that additional process of expressing interest. So that gives you a pretty good idea of where a person is and what they're interested in. At the advanced level, then we're getting into preferred methods of communication at the job. For people that are phone phobic, it would probably be a good thing to know that they're going to be on the phone almost every day for their job, or they're going to be giving presentations a lot with their job. You can do preferred weekly hours.
Are those search criteria then?
Yes.
Wow.
Are those what?
Search criteria.
Yep, everything on here is search criteria.
How did you come up with the industry fields?
The industry fields, I took that right from the Bureau of Labor, and those are all the industries that they label, or that they're categorizing and tracking.
So where would pharmaceutical land?
Pharmaceutical, that would be health or social care.
And I think there's opportunity to tweak some of that too. So.
There it is.
Yeah.
These are the
That
big
was supposed to be my part, maybe.
Yeah, there's the other aspect would be the SIC codes or whatever the new ones are called. I can't remember what they're called. And they have various levels, and you could have it go down into those levels.
Funeral services.
What was that?
Funeral services.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that is a category that the U.S. government feels fit to categorize. So again, about how you work for the job, or how the job works, you can do your weekly intensity. So you can kind of give an indication of, listen, I'm just looking for a leisurely job, or okay, I'm looking for a job so intense, I have no time to sit down, I have no time to think, I just want my days to fly by like that. You do your preferred days of the week, preferred start 9 times.
Which employer would ever indicate low intensity?
I would think they all would, because why would you want a person that says that why would you lie at that point and say, I want a leisurely job even though the job is going to be super intense? It's not to your benefit or to the employer's benefit to lie at any of this, because you're not matching yourselves up properly with them.
Yeah, but we're saying this is what employers ever really want in a leisurely employee. Somebody that's a little energy.
Oh, okay, from that perspective?
Yeah.
Well,
And you
this is
never
more
get
about
any catches.
this is more about the workday in general.
Okay.
So, I mean, you might not want to say it's leisurely. Maybe I should reword that.
Well, but I'm sure that if you're an employer and someone's willing to sort of self-select, you probably are interested in talking to them.
This is true. Right. That might be my trap question.
Yeah, exactly.
And then farthest you're willing to travel, and how frequently you're willing to travel. Then at the VIP level, that's your stuff about health insurance, dental, life, your retirement package. How important is that to you? Very not important. You don't have a preference.
So what exactly is the VIP level? Again, it's really,
That's the second level of expressing interest.
in other words, if the employer become more interested in you, then the information gets reviewed, is that what?
Yep. So right when you look at that originally, you just see the basic items. But when you go through expressing interest and they confirm it, then you see the advanced level.
Or
And then you do it one more time, then you can see.
it's almost like a process of negotiating in
Yeah.
some way, right?
It's like a dialogue, a networking dialogue.
Sometimes, some of these things actually, and other kinds of is recruiting and so forth, is in the later phase of negotiation, whether you get a job or not. Sometimes, it's actually, I guess my slight concern about this is a lot of this is not necessarily fixing the workload. It's in terms of negotiating. In other words, both parties are saying, okay, it's all okay now. You can actually, turns out, you can actually negotiate. That says, I need this kind of salary, I really need this kind of vacation plan, and then you kind of work it out, So I'm a little slightly concerned about this use case. It's so fixed, you can actually take away the flexibility of negotiation.
It is fixed, but it's also getting your minimal preferences, and you can change any of this information at any time. So when you first go here, you might have your dream job kind of set up on here. As the days keep going and the months and days turn into months, you might be changing your data on here to be, okay, well, here's what I'll settle for.
Not so leisurely anymore.
Yeah.
I'll
I'll take anything I can get.
What I can get.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept.
And then you're getting down here to, your contact stuff, such as your phone number and your email address and stuff like that. Now you're not actually applying through the site, so take you over to the job perspective.
Can you have more than one profile?
No.
So I cannot say, hey, I'm not willing to travel unless you pay me $500,000 a year, and then I travel daily.
You'd have to go make both those changes.
And just like anything, this will not work with anyone. I've talked to a few people and said that depending on what company they'll work for, they'll have different hour standards and stuff like that. Like they'd really be willing to work tons of hours for one company, but not so much for another. But
Well, corporate culture matters.
Yeah, but you can deal with that by just ignoring the ones you don't want to work for at that rate until you have to include them by other reasons. For other reasons.
so when they go to add an organization, this is just your basic demographic stuff. This is just the name, the address, the city, phone number, the website.
Now, will I be able to download that all so that I can save it, make the changes, and upload it, or do I have to go through the form every time?
Once you
If I want to make
Once you create an organization, it's there until you delete it. So once you create the organization once, it's there. So all you have to do is add on another job.
No, I'm sorry. I wasn't talking specific about the organization. I was thinking in terms of the profile. If I had a job profile or whatever that I wanted to put up there.
Mhm. Well, you can mark it as inactive, and that will.
Relatively useless for most applicants.
Take a look at the thing that's similar to this on the state website for the the job
Yeah, I have no problem.
workforce center order. And I think they have like hierarchies. You can check one and kind of get into a broad category, but then you can work your way down into that. Say I want, engineering, but then I want this specific field of engineering, and I want this subspecialty of engineering. And that's all the jobs that I want to see.
Mhm.
So that would be useful for an applicant, is if you have a very specific thing you want to try to do,
Mhm.
you can sort it by that, and then work your way back up.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm definitely open to doing something like that. So from the job perspective, they give it a name, determine the pay type, an hourly salary, volunteer. Description, once again, category, minimal educational requirements, minimal work experience. And then, is it a full-time, part-time job? And then, is it till project completion, a month duration, or an indefinite? Similar fields, once again, with communication, hours, the intensity, the independence level that you have. They can list off the day-to-day tasks, and then, once again, questions on travel, farthest travel, on-call, pager, weekends. And then into the VIP level stuff, which is, once again, health insurance, dental, retirement package, your minimal pay, and then where the job application is actually located. So by the time you get through this workflow, you can say, okay, well, this person is interested in me enough to share with me their application link. I think it's safe to say that if I apply, I have a fair chance at this job. So you can then go to that website or that location and go ahead and apply. From the searching perspective, you can do filters on any of those columns that were just done. You can determine rows per page. You can do sorts and control breaks on anything you'd like or group by.
The comment I have here is the usability has to be better. Now, this is project office.
Yep.
So you imagine the HR person, they may not be able to figure out exactly the need, obviously.
Well,
So you
navigation and everything is going to change drastically
So
in the
you
next
need to
version.
get real simple, some job in the category need to be well defined, so you understand. So this part of your rolling out your application, obviously. I'm sure you've thought about it too.
Oh, and I have a longer list of all the changes I need to make. So what you can do is, say you have a bunch of certain triggers that you really want to focus on, such as you say, I really want these job categories, and you really want only in these cities, and you really want only this kind of job title to show up. What you can do is you can then save the report, and then that will just become another separate tab, so that will become your saved report, so every single time you log in, it will refresh and show you that specific criteria.
So is that where you have things like director of marketing?
Mm-hmm.
And is that something that the individual puts in? Or was that a drop-down selection?
That would be a job title you're seeking, and that would be something that the employer can put down as for the title of the job.
Okay. And you can put multiples?
You can also download all the data to Excel, should you want to look at it that way. And you can do subscriptions. So every single time new data comes in, based on your own search criteria, it will send you an email at a certain time of day that you specify of those new jobs that came in. And this works just like a Google search. So if this keys on any of the fields, or any of the data in any of the fields, it will filter to make that pop up for wherever it keys on. So if you search on something like Director of Marketing, whether it's in the description, the job title, in the day-to-day tasks, wherever they put it, it will key in on that and show you in the data.
Would you rank your result list based on level of interest of other applicants? That would be like the Google way then maybe.
I didn't
Actually, it'd be the inverse of that. You'd want to know the rank of people that aren't interested.
Well, then it's probably such a job.
Because that gets tricky too, because you don't necessarily want to give away how interested people are in this one job, so it'll turn you away, but maybe none of those people are actually applying to the job. So.
Right.
So this is the beta 1 version, I guess you'd call it.
That's pretty good.
Something interesting about this is that, well, I've spent the last almost 4 months job seeking. And are there any other job or recent job seekers here?
Passive.
And,
Don't tell anybody
and I mean, I've been studying, I've been going to courses, I've been, it's been fascinating information. And one thing that this might eliminate, they say that 50 to 80% of jobs are not public. And partly that's because of the high cost of doing it. They give bonuses to about 35% of the companies give bonuses to their
Current
current
employees.
employees for bringing in a good person. That's what the data has been. I mean, I've been talking with career counselors and going to job transition workshops. There's a whole industry built up around, and they're all volunteers who are doing this in the Twin Cities area. And so it might eliminate, because this is so reasonable, it could transform the way jobs are found. But it's very heavy too. I mean, people do rely on the human information of someone they trust saying, this is my amazing contact that you should talk to. So, but for the ones who don't have that, I mean, I've been networking like crazy, and the good job seekers do that, but this would be, I think that would fill a need.
This turns it more into a Match.com sort of dating service, but for jobs. What I wanted to do is capitalize all the benefits of actually going to a job fair, because if you go to a job fair, if you have a boring conversation with someone, you're not going to give them your credentials and your business card and everything. You're just going to kind of work your way around the room and find someone else. But at the same time, when you find someone that you really do want to connect with, that's when you're starting to give out your information.
Well, I don't want you to be too successful, because I have a daughter who works at the ladders, and her boyfriend works at LinkedIn.
Well, that's okay. He'll just get bought
in the Job Circus and find a new job, so they're okay.
On the employer side, how much effort will it be? Because that's one of the things that they may get overwhelmed if they get a lot of people coming in and expressing interest and whatnot. Can that be automated?
Yeah, you can automate it to not send emails and stuff like that, email updates. But you have to keep in mind too that there's trade-off. By doing this, you're eliminating people that would actually submit an application without knowing your information that's posted out there, so that you have to review a big stack of applications versus just a relatively smaller stack.
is there a way to do sort of a soft threshold on you know, goodness of fit? Like, in the sense that if you're an employer, you get like, say, 10,000 people expressing interest in a position. Would it be possible you sort of rank the, you know, the goodness of fit?
Well, that's where the best match would come in, and it would key on how many of those fields that you posted and they posted you matched on. So it would show the ones that had the highest category match up top versus the ones with you only matched on 1 or 2 fields on the bottom.
So then are you gonna have actual pull-down ranges for things like salary and stuff, or are you gonna have some computation that'll say, okay, I wanna be within 15% of this number?
It's all within a range. So, and
So it won't matter if I put in, you know, $100,000 and the person put in 95, I'd still want to see that.
Well, the minimal salary, they're in a range, and they both have the same exact drop down for
Okay.
the job and the person.
Okay.
And they're at the minimal level too. So
Right.
even if you're saying, you know, your job could pay in the description up to 125,000, you could post, you know, somewhere between 60 and 100 or something like that, give a range. And even though people say there's, you know, how do you put a number based on what my salary, because it might include benefits and things like that. There's a minimal number we all have in our head when we go to a job.
I recommend that you have overlapping intervals, and otherwise it's difficult when you're like, let's say you're exactly at the 95, 100,000, like variance. Like, for example, from 50 to 75, from 60 to 90, whatever.
You actually guesstimate the exact ranges.
Okay. I'm awesome.
I'm just curious who you see as like a target consumer, or you know, who's going to pay you for this thing? Who would be your ideal group?
Well, I see selling this at the community level, at city levels, at county levels, in academia, university level, and because I'd be making money on the subscriptions, not necessarily on the sell of it, I could make the licensing for it very, very cheap, because you know, $5,000 or something like that, because my money is going to be coming from all the subscriptions from the jobs and the people. My goal is to sell it to a bunch of organizations and universities and cities, and then that way I can connect all the databases, give it enough time, and give everyone the option to upgrade into one massive database. So all the data between all those cities and organizations can be shared. So that way you can search just beyond Rochester, beyond Minnesota, you can search globally. There's a nice map app that comes with that version of Oracle, and it can plot based on the cities that you have entered, how many jobs, and just kind of give you a number. And then from there you can click on that and scroll in deeper and say, okay, state of Minnesota, and then there's, you know, little blips over Duluth and St. Paul and Rochester. You click on Rochester, and then you're just seeing Rochester jobs. Any questions?
You applied any of these sort of like lean startup concepts, you know, to this sort of mock-up that you have so far?
In terms of what?
I don't know, trying to get like, you know, 10 recent college grads, it's a good time of year for that, right? In a room at the same time, and to, you know, ask them how they plan to go out and find a job.
That information is coming from contacts that I have, either HR professors at the universities that I've met, or people that work or HR staffing companies like Josh Steiner in town. They have all that data readily accessible to me, so if I just ask those questions to them, which I have been, just kind of like, what are the things they're looking for, what kind of degrees are popular, you can shoot me an email right back and kind of give me access to that data.
Well, I guess I'm curious more about user experience, maybe, you know, how people who, you know, maybe recently graduated plan to go out and look for jobs, and how they prefer to do that.
Oh,
I mean, I was surprised. So I actually went to, my sister just got a master's degree, so I went to, and they had a joint graduation with the kids getting bachelor's degrees.
Mhm.
And it was, you know, huge graduation. They did the graduates first, and then did all the kids' bachelor's. And I thought it was really weird. I mean, they had a video camera at the end of the stage, and the kids getting bachelor's degrees after they, you know, collected their diploma and shook the president's hand all did these kind of, you know, sort of millennial style, like Facebook poses for the camera. And it was really, really weird. And I mean, me being, I guess, like an old stuffy guy, I thought it was really like,
They're never getting a job.
yeah, that's sort of thing. I was like, what are you guys so excited about? You know, like, the economy's horrible. But I mean, I also thought it was sort of like undignified, and I was kind of like, man, like I must really not be in touch with, you know, this younger generation. So that was the first time I really felt like sort of out of touch, you know. So I kind of wonder, you know, if, you know, those 1,000 kids who just got bachelor's degrees, you know, if any of them have jobs, how they found jobs. For those of them who don't have jobs, how they plan to go about finding a job, and if this is the kind of tool that they would be interested in using.
Well,
I'm kind of a lazy guy, so it seems like something that I'd like, you know, just an automated, like, you know, matchmaker service for jobs.
well, for the city of Rochester's purposes, I've already talked to the chamber. I'll be meeting with them again in the next few weeks. But they're interested in this, and they have a few initiatives in place for the business in the town, saying how do we connect to people to get them to Rochester, and once they're in Rochester, how do we connect them to all these businesses. So if I could get this into the chamber, then I would have all 1,400 businesses in town at least be sent a newsletter saying, hey, we have this new job board tool in town. If you want to post a job, go ahead and come here, and you'll get access to what everyone else is posting in town, and you'll have kind of this mass umbrella system where if you want to get a job in Rochester, this is where you head.
So if you can get, you know, the chamber or the city or somebody locally to sort of sign on, because are you thinking it more like kind of a beta release? And if that's successful, then you just, you know, say screw it and go
Well, they'd have a test period.
nationwide. I mean, how do you scale something like this?
You scale it because there's a lot of businesses in town and other places that have unbelievable connections to other parts of the world. So they start using something, especially if I get in with an HR company, and then I can get them to suggest trying this out as a demo site, which I'm already doing with the Smart HR in town. To set up a demo site with them so they can pitch this to their clients as another alternative. Then all of a sudden it becomes nationwide reaching. All I just need is that one connection.
I've been stuck on that, one of the stats you had, like, this average is 6 to 8 seconds or something?
6 to 10 seconds.
6 to 10 seconds?
That's all you had before a person reviews your application, before they either throw it out or put it on a pile to go on to the next level.
So the thing I'm struggling with is, like, if they're only giving 6 to 10 seconds, like that glance, it's the thought of, you know, the back and forth, and like what, my question is, like, why are they only spending 6 to 10 seconds, and how might that impact the back and forth?
Well, it's 6 to 10 seconds with the application that they're getting, but once you form a relationship with them already on the Job Circus, then you kind of put their name and you write it down and say, you know, I was really interested in this person that I saw on Job Circus. So that it kind of gives you a one-up, just as if you met that person at a job fair and you had a good conversation with them. Because you have to think, there's, you know, a stack of 100 applicants, and you just have to go through them, and that's what you're doing for all afternoon one day. You're not going to spend that much time doing it. Yeah, you find one thing wrong or one thing you don't like, and it's shoved off. But if you actively have a conversation with someone, you have kind of a list of VIP names that you're just like, okay, well, I want to make sure I set those aside right away.
Is there a place to upload a resume to?
Not on this one, no. The reason I didn't want to do that with my site is because I didn't want to get it bogged down with people uploading a whole bunch of documents to it. I figured that the best place to put that would be on your LinkedIn account, your personal website, and link it right to there.
And that 10-second rule is whether it's on a piece of paper or whether it's on screen. Yeah, I mean that's going.
Yeah.
They're looking for the words, and they're
Most
I've
of them
got
are
data
just
on that
most
too.
of them are just scanned by a computer today, anyways. And if you don't get by that, they're not even a human's not even gonna see you
Mhm.
as it is. So.
So maybe this is actually a little easier for them to digest. 10-second chunk is okay, and they're all right with another follow-up 10 seconds. But it's just really flipped the way I've thought about like job search and that. So it's really fascinating for me. Really cool idea.
And I think people who find jobs by networking will still do it by networking.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this could be a kind of supplement to it.
And because of my price structure, even when you get into the days of desperation, like I have in the past where it's been 3 months and I haven't found a job yet, and there's nothing I've seen posted, you start looking at job application sites like Career Builder and stuff, and even though it doesn't look like it's the most legit, you see a whole bunch of work from home kind of sites and work from home jobs, and make this much a week jobs on Career Builder, you get desperate and you start throwing your hand in. The difference is that Career Builder and stuff, it's free for you to throw your hand in. This is $3, but you can say to yourself, well, I guess what's $3 if it helps me get a job?
All right, cutting off.
All right.
Thank you.